With us, Rahul Bajoria, the economist from Barclays, who has just published a report saying that the macro pieces of growth are actually falling in place. So let's welcome someone who's going to give us some optimistic spin on the Indian macro situation. Rahul, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. Well, the IIP numbers were not much to write home about, and we still hear a lot of NPL problems with banks at a micro level. What makes you feel that the Indian macro piece, the growth piece in particular, is improving?
Well, I think at this point, if you look at the decline in oil prices, I mean, that's the biggest tailwind behind the Indian economy that we are seeing. Over the coming 3 to 4 years, if this trend is sustained, the amount of benefit that the Indian economy is going to derive from it and the fiscal space it opens up really gives the government a lot of room to spend money, particularly on infrastructure. And I think that's really the key priority that the government has kind of outlined in its first year.
Okay, so the decline in oil prices is the biggest positive in terms of the macros. Rahul, hi, morning. What about the CPI data and the fact that food inflation is spiking up? Yeah. Given that, the monsoon situation is not getting any better, would you not be concerned that we could see further spike in food inflation?
If you look at the high frequency numbers, we are already starting to see food inflation momentum kind of breaking. I mean, the numbers for pulses is starting to slow down as per the Consumer Affairs Ministry website. Also, the government seems to be in a lot more better control this time around with the imports and the sowing as well picking up. So we are not very concerned about the pickup in food inflation right now. Core inflation generally remains well behaved, and the decline in oil prices will ensure that the 6% target is not compromised.
No, actually, the food inflation only for the month of June didn't quite obey that trend of falling momentum. Actually, the rise month on month has been much sharper than in the previous June. Yep. Actually, if you only looked at the FCPI, the food CPI, it rose by 2%. Even if you took food and beverages, it's risen by 0.7 in the previous month and rose by 0.4. So just this June number doesn't worry you?
Not particularly. I mean, because seasonally June and July tends to be points where we do see food inflation increasing. And as I said, I mean, with the monsoons turning out to be okay so far, we have seen a pretty big pickup in sowing. Our sense is going ahead, the second half of the year, food inflation should come back down, which may open up room for the central bank to cut rates.
Okay, that is as far as inflation is concerned. I was going through your report where you say that the fiscal revenue, the increase in the fiscal revenue is supporting the government's medium-term agenda of raising infrastructure investment. Given a lot of the positives that this new government is undertaking, whether it's clearing some of the supply bottlenecks or ending power and coal shortages, how much do you think the growth rate could pick up to, say, in the next 1 to 2 years?
I think in the next couple of years, we are not going to see a very big impact of the entire spending plan coming through. I mean, because the quality of spending is, biased towards infrastructure. So with the entire capital cycle, I mean, the way it works with infrastructure projects is only in the second and the third year you start seeing some significant amount of, growth value addition coming through. But once they are completed, I mean, that's when you get the, the beauty of the logistical gains that come about, the productivity gains that come about. So it's really a 5-year story that we are focusing on here from an infrastructure point of view.
You don't think this could get stymied by, say, land acquisition bills not getting passed or, so many stuck projects that promoters don't have the bandwidth to take up new projects, and unsticking the stuck projects is a big problem in several cases?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think execution has to be the biggest risk in India, even from a long-term perspective. And with some of the key things like the land acquisition bill, the GST bill being stuck, I mean, there's definitely a risk that we don't see the kind of outcomes that we have indicated in our report. Our sense is that, at the state level, there seems to be some good things happening. So it may not be a case of, it may not be completely symmetric. You may see certain states, certain geographies doing a lot better than the others, but that's how the government has to kind of prioritize, to make sure that it's not uneven growth that we are looking at.
So what is the kind of GDP numbers or IIP numbers you will look at?
Well, in the near term, our sense is growth could be somewhere in the vicinity of 7.8% this year. In our sense is in 5 years, if we even see 75% execution of the investment projects that the government is talking about, we could be getting close to double-digit growth. So 9.8%, maybe it goes to 10%. Our numbers are conservative.
And what about the spending that the government may do in the next 5 years on infrastructure? What are you penciling in? And which are the key focus areas according to you?
So the total amount of investment spending that we think is going to come through additionally on infrastructure is going to be close to about $200 billion. That's roughly about 8.5% of GDP right now. And the key focus areas are really going to be around urbanization. So it's the Smart Cities initiative. We have, I think, a lot of focus is going to be on railways, which helps you on improving logistics. There's also going to be quite a bit of focus on upgrading the highways and the port infrastructure, which kind of gives you the last mile connectivity which businesses really need in India.
No, that's true. We were impressed by these statements coming out from the government every now and then. But when you get the earnings numbers day after day, hour after hour, it doesn't seem to show any improvement in sales. Along with your equities expert, where do you see which quarter or which half year will the growth actually pick up?
So our equities team, particularly Bhuvnesh, still remains quite optimistic on the earnings picture. Our sense is that in the second half of the year, we'll start seeing a lot better numbers coming out. In fact, I think what's really happened here is that, with the decline in oil prices, the current account is improving, but a lot of that benefit was actually fiscalized through tax increases on petrol and diesel. So it's really up to the government, which has to spend money. And we have seen the indirect tax collections, skyrocketing in a way. And that's where we think the execution part comes in, that if they're able to execute, we should see growth numbers improving in the second half along with the earnings.
The crude is a very big benefit, no doubt about it. But when crude falls to $50, it is also telling you that there is no demand in the world. Won't the global slowdown, slow down India as well? How does India compare with others in that sense?
I don't think there is a very strong export-led growth strategy that's currently in play in India. I think a lot of the focus is on trying to improve unlock domestic potential for consumption and investment, and this has to be done by solving our bottleneck problems.
It's not so much export. I mean, there is that export picture as well, but it also means that steel is coming at $300, making so many NPLs. The global slowdown hurts us in many ways. So you think that headwind can be met by this tailwind of good governance and low oil prices?
I think it's a question of picking winners and losers, because if imports are getting cheaper, it is going to hurt some producers domestically, but it's also going to benefit a lot of consumers. So I mean, there is net, I think we are still going to be in a better place if commodity prices are lower, and it's a question of who benefits and who loses, and that will kind of determine the overall outcome.
All right, Rahul, we leave it at that. Thank you for joining us.